The House will come to order. The invocation today will be given by the Honorable Alabas Farhat, State Representative from the 3rd District. Will members, staff, and guests in the gallery please rise? Representative.
Let us pray. As we are gathered here today in the spirit of service and governance, I invoke that God, the Almighty, the Beneficent, look over this body and bless our deliberations and bless our beloved state of Michigan. I ask that God help us overcome any disagreements we may have in this body and give us the courage to look at each other as simply public servants and to help us deliver on the people's work. I ask that God give us the wisdom to deliver and to overcome any barriers that may prevent us from doing that work. And I ask that we as a chamber, and I ask that God bless us as a chamber to represent the diversity of this state and to let us be guided by the values of his teachings. I also ask that God, in his wisdom and in his blessing, give us the strength and understanding we need so that we may become a beacon of hope and a source of comfort for those in need, and that our efforts today and in the days to come reflect our deepest commitment to serving all members of our community with fairness, with respect, and with an unwavering dedication to the common good. Thank you, and may peace be upon you all. Amen.
The clerk will open the board for the purpose of taking attendance. The board is now open. Members may check in at their desk.
Speaker recognizes Representative Kofia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I have with me guests from my region in northern Michigan. With me in the East Gallery are John Coleman, organizer for Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers International Association Local 7, David Fashbaugh, business manager and financial secretary for IBEW Local 498 Traverse City, Clint Steele, business representative for UA Local 85 Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, president of the Northern Michigan Building Trades Council, Travis Brady, Michigan Building Trades rep for Northern Michigan and an IBEW 692 member. And last but not least, Tim Ireland, who is with IBEW Local 498 Apprentice and Register.
Colleagues, please join me in welcoming the guests of Representative Kofia to the Michigan House of Representatives. Members, please check in at your desks. The board is going to be closing shortly.
Members, please check in at your desk. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to excuse all absent members.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will close the board, tally, display, and announce today's attendance.
Mr. Speaker, a quorum of the House is present. There are no members absent with prior excuse.
Will members, staff, and guests in the gallery please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House proceed to the order of motions and resolutions and take up House Resolution 202.
Without objection, so ordered. Members, we have a memorial resolution before us. Please take your seats. The clerk will read.
The Speaker, on behalf of the entire membership of the House of Representatives, offers House Resolution 202, a resolution of tribute offered as memorial for Gary Richard Glenn, former member of the House of Representatives. Whereas it is with great sorrow that the members of the House of Representatives learned about the passing of Gary Glenn after a prolonged and inspiring battle with cancer. He'll be remembered as a dedicated public servant for his work both inside and outside of the state capitol by his constituents in Bay and Midland counties and the people of the state of Michigan. Whereas, born and raised in North Carolina, Gary Glenn actively participated in scouting and sports in his formative years. He was an Eagle Scout and would later become the father of 4 Eagle Scouts. And he played football and ran track in both high school and college. Whereas Gary Glenn earned his Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Lenore Ryan University in Hickory, North Carolina, graduating with honors in 1981. Whereas before graduation, Gary Glenn was hired as an executive director of the Idaho Freedom to Work Committee. In addition to his time in Idaho, he worked for the National Right to Work Committee and was a founding board member of the Michigan Freedom to Work Coalition. Whereas Gary Glenn enlisted in the United States Army Reserve during the build-up to the Persian Gulf War in 1990. He served 8 years in the Reserve and Army National Guard and earned the rank of sergeant. Whereas Gary Glenn moved to Michigan in 1998 to serve as president of the School Choice Yes, promoting the Mackinac Center for Public Policy's Universal Tuition Tax Credit proposal. And whereas, in the years to follow, Gary Glenn became president of the American Family Association of Michigan, where he worked tirelessly on their 2004 ballot measure. Whereas, in 2014, he was elected to the Michigan House of Representatives, named the majority vice chair of the Committee on Energy Policy in the 98th legislature. He quickly made a name for himself, being named the Freshman Legislator of the Year by MERS in recognition of his leadership on energy issues. Whereas in 2016, Gary Glenn was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. This diagnosis did not deter his service, however. He maintained a perfect attendance record and even expanded his leadership role in the 99th legislature when he was named chair of the Committee on Energy Policy and elected Associate Speaker Pro Tem. Whereas Gary Glenn was a devoted and caring family man. In 1983, he married his loving wife, Annette. They had 5 children and 9 grandchildren. His loving family was by his side throughout his career and offered him especially poignant support during his illness, with Annette succeeding him in the House of Representatives. And whereas upon Gary Glenn's passing, we offer our condolence to his loved ones. His commitment to the causes he believed in and his determination to continue his service during his courageous battle with cancer are an inspiration to this chamber and the state of Michigan. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives that we offer this expression of our highest tribute to honor the memory of Gary Richard Glenn, a member of the House of Representatives from 2015 to 2018. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Glenn family as evidence of our lasting esteem for his memory.
Speaker recognizes Representative Schutte.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues in the Michigan House of Representatives, this is an important day for the legislature. where we take a moment and reflect, acknowledge, and thank a former member of this body who passed away last year. Today we remember one of my predecessors, Representative Gary Glenn. Gary Glenn was an Eagle Scout, a veteran of the U.S. Army Reserves and the Army National Guard. He was state representative from 2015 to 2018, where he chaired the House Energy Committee and presided over the House as Speaker Pro Tem. But if you know Gary, you know what mattered most to him were the titles of husband, dad, and grandfather. He shared 40 years of marriage with his wife Annette, and they are blessed with 5 children and 9 grandchildren. And if you, like me, were lucky enough to know the real Gary Glenn, you knew he was principled and substantive. And in a world of politics where so much can seem cloaked in secrecy and doublespeak, Gary was refreshingly straightforward. You knew where he sat, and if you were his friend, man, did Gary have your back. Because Gary, he was one heck of a fighter. He was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer in 2016 while completing his first year in the State House of Representatives. And despite that harrowing prognosis, Gary continued to serve his community while simultaneously fighting cancer. His perseverance through nearly 7 years with that disease is an inspiration to us all. So we will miss Gary and the principled leadership he provided in the Michigan House. Annette, we honor your late husband today. We appreciated his many contributions to Michigan, and I urge my colleagues to support this resolution.
All members in favor of the memorial resolution, please rise. The resolution is adopted. Speaker. Speaker recognizes Representative Schuette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am honored to present to Representative Glenn's family a memorial flag and a framed copy of the resolution. On the floor today with me today is Harrison, Gary's son, and Mila Glenn, Gary's granddaughter, whose birthday is tomorrow, I may add, along with his wife, Representative Annette Glenn. And we are joined by numerous members of the Glenn family in the gallery and the South Gallery, and via Zoom we are joined by Gary's mother, Johnny Melton, his sisters, and many of Gary's children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Members, please help me in welcoming the family of the Honorable Representative Gary Glenn to the House floor. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Continuing on the order of motions and resolutions, I move to take up House Resolution 203.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read.
The Speaker, on behalf of the entire membership of the House of Representatives, offers House Resolution 203, a resolution of tribute offered as a memorial for Thomas W. White, former member of the House of Representatives. Whereas it was with great sorrow that members of the House of Representatives learned about the passing of Thomas White. He will be remembered as a committed public servant who dutifully served his constituents in Wayne County and the people of Michigan. And whereas Thomas White was born in 1937 in Detroit and attended the University of Michigan and Wayne State University, where he received his bachelor's degree in history. He is survived by his wife of 36 years, Kate, along with his 5 sons, 13 grandchildren, and 11 great-grandchildren. Thomas White's work as a community activist and organizer led him to being elected to the Michigan House of Representatives in 1964, where he served the 11th District for 2 terms. As a representative, Thomas White served on many standing committees, including Civil Rights, Metropolitan Affairs, Social Aid and Welfare, City Corporations, and State Affairs. He also served as the chair of the Aid to Handicap Committee. Thomas was energetic in his work for Michiganders, serving on multiple special committees during his tenure as a legislator. And whereas Thomas White believed that anyone could achieve success, and he served as a mentor to many throughout his storied career. From directing bond finance programs at Housing and Urban Development to developing multifamily programs for Fannie Mae, Thomas White's career reflected his early work in community activism. In addition to working towards safe and affordable housing for all Americans, he served as a member of the Detroit Community Relations Commission and NAACP. In retirement, Thomas White continued his advocacy, serving on the board of the nation's largest methadone clinic, Turning Point. He always supported those around him and will be dearly missed by all who knew him. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives that we offer this expression of our highest tribute to honor the memory of Thomas W. White, a member of the House of Representatives from 1965 to 1968. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to the White family as evidence of our lasting esteem for his memory.
Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in honor of this memorial resolution for the late State Representative Tom White, a former member of this body who actually represented a significant part of Detroit's East and West Side communities. Today, we gather to honor the memory and celebrate the life of someone who I'm learning is an extraordinary leader at the time where the city was going through some tumultuous changes. As we reflect on his legacy, we're reminded of his unwavering commitment to public service and his tireless efforts to make a positive impact in the lives of those he represented. Tom grew up in the Jeffries Projects, where he met his wife and got married and continued his life in his commitment towards fighting for affordable housing. It's an issue that we all know is critically important even to this day. And Mr. Speaker, in talking with his kids, I've come to learn that this passion was something that extended beyond his time in the legislature. Tom went on to Washington, D.C., where he served in the HUD department under President Jimmy Carter and continued to fight for and was passionate about all things Detroit and making sure everybody had an opportunity to be able to live and raise a family in the great city of Detroit. Tom was somebody that was invested in community activism and mentorship for the success of others and was a deep proponent of fighting for racial equity. Prior to joining the House, he worked with the Detroit Civil Service Commission and the Detroit Community Relations Commission. He was also a member of the NAACP, the ACLU, and the Congress on Racial Equity. I was talking about a story during the '67 riots. Him and his colleague, Rep. Ray Hood, wanted to go out in the streets on the east side and downtown to figure out, can they talk to these protesters and rioters and just make peace? And his son was telling me that his wife thought it was a crazy idea, that why would you go out and face the violence? We saw the destruction that was happening. So she encouraged him to stay home. But after talking to his colleague, Rep. Hood, they decided to go out into the city and try to reason with all those folks that were angry and tried to find ways to create positive change. And I think this is an important reminder for us, Mr. Speaker, to understand the legacy of those that have come before us in when they see conflict and when they see division in our country, that sometimes just having the conversation is the first step in trying to address the solution. So that, I think, is an incredible legacy that he has left behind, and incredibly grateful for the work that he's done for the city of Detroit, the work that he's done for housing nationally. And we are here joined with his 2 children, Mr. Speaker, Tom and Chris White. And alongside the gallery, I'll be introducing the guests later today, but I just wanted to share a little bit of a glimpse about who he was. So I hope my colleagues can join me in extending our deepest sympathy and our greatest gratitude for Representative White's dutiful and longstanding commitment to public service and the upliftment for the beautiful city of Detroit. He'll be sorely missed by his loved ones and those who knew him, but it is my hope that the Detroit spirit of service will continue on forever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All members in favor of the memorial resolution, please rise. The resolution is adopted. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, we're joined today with Tom and Chris White, alongside his son, Sean White, and they're also accompanied with more members of the White family, the spouse of Chris White's, Valerie, their son, Jacob, and alongside Jacob, we have Chelsea White and their children, Elijah and Bryson White, and they are with us in the East Gallery. And I have the flag that was flown, Mr. Speaker, alongside the tribute that we want to honor the family with today.
Thank you for joining us today. Members, please help me in welcoming the family of the Honorable Representative White to the House floor. The House will stand at ease.
The House will come to order. Speaker recognizes Representative Rogers.
Thank you. I rise today to have a bittersweet announcement. So my Chief of Staff, Ian Mays, has been a fixture in here in the House with various roles since 2004, which I think is almost a record these days. And I wanted to say, as the Chair of Health Policy, that it has been my pleasure, and he has been my right hand with organizing and getting everything ready for our very busy committee. I wish him well and his future endeavors, and really appreciate his dedication to the Michigan House of Representatives in a variety of roles.
Colleagues, please join me in thanking Ian for his service to the Michigan House of Representatives. Speaker recognizes Representative Borton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Attention, Republican members. We have a Republican caucus in the Republican caucus room.
Speaker recognizes Minority Leader Hall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I have 22 students and 23 adults from Plainwell in the Southwest Gallery, and they're students from Gilkey Elementary.
Will the guests of Minority Leader Hall please rise? Welcome to the Michigan House of Representatives. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ash.
Madam Speaker, continue the order of motions and resolutions and move to take up House Resolution 204.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read.
House Resolution number 204, introduced by Representative Cara, a resolution to censure Speaker of the House Joe Tate, representative of the 10th House District, State of Michigan.
The resolution is referred to the Committee on Government Operations.
The House will come to order. The House will proceed to announcements by the Clerk of Printing and Enrollment.
Clerk announced that the following bills and joint resolution had been reproduced and made available electronically on Tuesday, March 5th. House Bills 5534 through 5547 and House Joint Resolution N. The clerk announced that the following bills have been reproduced and made available electronically on Wednesday, March 6th. Senate Bills 740 through 744.
Reports of standing committees.
Committee on Health Policy, Representative Rogers, Chair, reported House Bill 5077 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is considered read for a second time, or bill is referred to your second reading of bills.
Committee on Health Policy, Representative Rogers, Chair, reported House Bill 5078 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Health Policy, Representative Rogers, Chair, reported House Bill 5179 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Judiciary, Representative Breen, Chair, reported House Bill 5429 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Higher Education, Representative Glanville, Chair, reported House Bill 5522 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Energy, Communications, and Technology, Representative Scott, Chair, reported House Bill 5457 without amendment with recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Appropriations, Representative Whitwer, Chair, reported Senate Bill 350 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Appropriations, Representative Whitwer, Chair, reported Senate Bill 555 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Local Government and Municipal Finance, Representative Fitzgerald, Chair, reported House Bill 5203 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Local Government and Municipal Finance, Representative Fitzgerald, Chair, reported Senate Bill 721 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Tax Policy, Representative Neely, Chair, reported House Bill 4361 with the recommendation that substitute H2 be adopted and that the bill then pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Tax Policy, Representative Neely, Chair, reported Senate Bill 415 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills.
Committee on Tax Policy, Representative Neely, Chair, reported Senate Bill 416 without amendment with the recommendation that the bill pass.
Bill is referred to the order second reading of bills. Notices.
Committee on Ethics and Oversight will meet Wednesday, March 13th at 2:00 p.m. or after committees are given leave by the House to meet, whichever time is later, in room 521 of the House Office Building.
Introduction of bills.
Representative Shriver offers House Bill 5548, a bill to amend an act to make uniform the liability of municipal corporations, political subdivisions, and the state. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Government Operations.
Representative Breen offers House Bill 5549, a bill to amend the revised school code. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Education.
Representative Cernoglu offers House Bill 5550, a bill to amend the Michigan election law. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Elections.
Representative Arbit offers House Bill 5551, a bill to amend the Michigan election law. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Elections.
Representative Regas offers House Bill 5552, a bill to amend the Michigan Memorial Highway Act. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Transportation, Mobility, and Infrastructure.
Representative O'Neill offers House Bill 5553, a bill to amend the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act. People of the State of Michigan enact.
Bill is considered read for the first time by its title, referred to the Committee on Natural Resources, Environment, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation. Announcements by the clerk.
Received from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the Michigan Strategic Fund Fiscal Year 2023 Commission for Logistics and Supply Chain Collaboration Annual Report.
The House will stand at ease.
Michigan Public Radio Network has permission to record for the balance of today's session. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Continuing order of motions and resolutions, I move to take up House Resolution 205.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read.
House Resolution number 205, introduced by Representative DeBoer, a resolution to declare March 2024 as Women's History Month in the state of Michigan.
Colleagues, we have a member addressing the body. Please quiet down and give her your attention. Speaker recognizes Representative DeBoer.
It's on? Oh, thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Speaker. Each year, March is designated as Women's History Month by presidential proclamation. This month is set aside to honor women's contributions in American history. Women's History Month became a month-long celebration in 1987 when Congress passed Public Law 100-9 and then passed subsequent resolutions requesting that the President of the United States make an annual declaration. While the right to vote is a common topic of study in classrooms while examining women's history during March in schools, there are many more issues, perspectives, and accomplishments that require investigation across history, literature, and the arts to more fully appreciate and understand what women's history in the U.S. encompasses. Michigan women have birthed and nurtured children, led businesses, stood up for causes, helped the needy, and contributed to success in our society in a myriad of ways. Women's History Month continues to champion women and their many contributions through activities such as museum exhibits and film screenings, and by encouraging the study of achievements by women year-round. It also encourages our future generations to follow in their footsteps. I urge my colleagues to support this resolution. Thank you.
The question for the House is adoption of House Resolution 205. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Proceed to order of third reading of bills. I'll take count item number 62, House Bill 4924.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will read.
Calendar item number 62, House Bill 4924, introduced by Representative Devendorf, a bill to amend the Revised Judicature Act of 1961. The people of the state of Michigan enact.
Without objection, the bill will be considered read for a third time by its title. Are there amendments? There are no amendments. Colleagues, we have a member addressing the body. Please quiet down and give them your attention. Speaker recognizes Representative Devendorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to speak to the bill.
Without objection, so ordered.
Today we're here to talk about land, about homes. What is the meaning of these to a family? Regardless of who you are, land is equity. And with every generation, it is one of the single strongest determinants of generational wealth, stability, and opportunity for each and every one of us. The small family farm, regardless of who owns it, is in decline. One fact our farmers have learned the hard way throughout this country's history is that once a farm is gone, it doesn't come back. Yet a farm, like so many assets, can be passed down through generations, and it can be saved, continuously building upon itself to benefit our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. House Bill 4924, the Partition of Heirs Property Act before us today, closes a gap in Michigan law that disproportionately harms the ability of low-income and middle-income farmers and farmers from underrepresented communities to maintain and grow equity and, as a result, economic stability. For example, in 1910, black farmers made up 14% of all farmers in the United States. In 1920, almost 1 million black farmers owned 41.4 million acres of land, comprising a seventh of farm owners. Today, black farmers own about 1% of all farms, and this represents a 90% loss over time. Farm ownership, particularly for the least wealthy among us, has dipped dramatically since the early 1900s, in part due to a gap in law that exists in absence of a legal will. Currently, when a middle to low income property owner who owns real property passes away without a will in place, the property is passed to the heirs as tenants in common. In this scenario, any one heir or tenant can force a partition and sale of the property. Our wealthier farmers are more likely to have estate planning in place and legal counsel on hand. The Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act creates due process that allows for all tenants to weigh in on the future of a property and a potential sale. From New York to Florida to Texas to California, this policy has already been enacted in over 20 states across the country and receives broad bipartisan support from legislators and diverse coalitions that include civil rights organizations, real estate professionals, legal scholars, bar associations, and agricultural advocacy groups. For some, this is an equity bill, and for others, it is legislation that clears up legal headaches. For everyone, this legislation is long overdue and just common sense. I urge my colleagues to support House Bill 4924.
The question for the House is the passage of the bill. A record roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will open the board. The clerk will close the board, tally, display, and announce the vote.
Madam Speaker, on the question of final passage of House Bill 4924, there are 94 aye votes and 13 nay votes.
Majority of the members elected and serving having voted therefore, the bill is passed. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Move for immediate effect.
Majority Floor Leader moves to immediate effect. All those in favor will rise. Immediate effect is ordered. Speaker recognizes Representative Diebendorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to request that the board be open for co-sponsors.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will open the board. The clerk will close the board, tally and display the co-sponsorships. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I proceed to order motions and resolutions.
Without objection, so ordered. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just let the members know. I move that committees be given leave to meet the balance of today's session.
Without objection, so ordered. Committees are given leave to meet. Speaker recognizes Majority Floor Leader Ayash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just let the members vote to be no further voting and the House adjourns. It stands adjourned until Tuesday, March 12th at 1:30 p.m.
Without objection, so ordered. The House will stand at ease. The call of the chair.
There being no further business to come before the House, Representative Bruck moves that the House to now adjourn. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say nay. The motion prevails. The House will stand adjourned until Tuesday, March the 12th at 1:30 p.m.